What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the WeSportin podcast. And today we are here to discuss a maybe not so big signing to the rest of the NFL, but a big signing for us as we finally get a nice coveted wide receiver two in Stefon Diggs, signed him for a 1 year, $10 million. Long wait. All summer long, we've been hearing since Stefon Diggs was not going back to the Patriots that he was on the market for for a lot of teams in the NFL, especially for the Washington Commanders. He is a Maryland native. He went to Maryland University, and he's now finally playing on the Washington Commanders. I feel like it's been since 2018 when he was in Minnesota requesting a trade. I was praying for him to come to DC. His brother Trayvon was posted on Instagram telling him to go to DC. So finally, now it's a big full circle moment for Stefon Diggs as he is finally coming home to Washington. Chris, before we get underway, man, what are your thoughts on the signing in itself, and what do you think?
So yeah, my initial thoughts on this sign, I think this instantly raises the commander ceiling in the NFC. Not only just the NFC East, but the NFC as a whole, it raises their ceiling. I think that this was one of the last um holes on the roster was wide receiver two. We still have two other holes, which may be cornerback help, which they've been better than expected this all season so far. And we got center, but I think again, this just instantly raises our ceiling, and I think that was the biggest thing for me. I think he
Mhm.
comes in instantly as a wide receiver two. I think he may could even I think that in the big games he's gonna compete with Terry for wide receiver one type of games. He's gonna have games where he's our lead wide receiver in those big games. You know, he does show up in big games. That's one thing about Stephon Diggs, and I'm really excited to see how we use him.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like I said, so bringing now in, what does this move mean for Washington? Chris says that this makes the ceiling higher. I agree as well. I think that going into the season, there was a lot of expectations and high expectations for guys like Luke McCaffrey and Antonio Williams, and I believe that the front office now does not believe that they're not ready to fill those shoes yet. Not saying that Luke McCaffrey and Antonio Williams are not great players in their own ways, but to give a rookie and then a third year guy basically the high expectations of, hey, you need to complement our wide receiver one and Terry McLaurin, and you need to take the pressure off of him. That's a deep sigh of relief for those guys. So going in now, you have Stefon Diggs as wide receiver two. You're gonna have him now being able to help mentor and guys like Antonio Williams and Luke McCaffrey, those two young guys in the building, and having a veteran guy like Stefon Diggs coming in. Being able to perform and to help and to take time and to take pressure off of Terry McLaurin too is going to be really helpful as well. Now, Chris, like a move like this, do you believe now this is an upgrade from Debo last year as the wide receiver two for the Commanders? Maybe this is a bit of an obvious question, but I mean, who do you believe that this is an upgrade for us at wide receiver two?
I wholeheartedly think so, and not to down Debo because I really think that Debo year in Washington was a little underrated. I think a lot of people give him a lot of flack for things that was not just his fault; it was just the Commander's fault. I think when we first brought Debo in, I looked at him as a just a all around gadget, a type of guy that could be like wide receiver three. Because even when we got Debo, I still wanted to sign a wide receiver two or go draft a wide receiver two. But with this move, I think that Stephon Diggs is a wide receiver, a guy that's really a pure wide receiver too. I think he's a high tier wide receiver too, almost a one. Like we seen him last year be the one on a Super Bowl team. He didn't have his best year, but he didn't play for all of the snaps, and he still had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like just I think that he low key could still probably be a wide receiver one. At the very least, he's still a high end wide receiver two, and that's exactly what we needed. So I think that this is completely different from the Debo move because when we signed Debo, I still was looking for us to sign a wide receiver. This is the wide receiver that we need, and I'm glad that we got it done, man. Adam Peters is having a hell of an offseason. He's killed
Yeah.
it all offseason long, and I can't give him any more hate. If we fail, I don't know who else to blame, bro, except the universe.
It's a great thing that you mentioned the Super Bowl because Stephon Diggs last year, it did end up going to the Super Bowl with Drake May and the New England Patriots last year. He was also a big reason on Drake May's success last year, being an MVP candidate after his rookie year and in his second year. He became one of the top leagues touchdown passers and in the MVP, finished second in MVP voting. So now, obviously, we do know that Stefon Diggs is 32 years old and going to turn 33 in the season. Do you believe that Stefon Diggs could still make that same impact that he did in New England last year on the Commanders? Not saying they go to the Super Bowl, but do you think they'll have that same positive outcome of having success on offense and potentially getting the Commanders back into the postseason?
I think so, and I think it's just simply because he's a separator. I don't know if he's the same separator as he was before the injury or before he aged, but he is a separator. He's a way better separator than we've seen the past couple of years. Even more of a separator than Terry McLaurin is. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna find himself open. He's gonna convert a lot of third downs for us, and I think that alone is gonna that's gonna be his impact. That's gonna be where he impacts the team, just like he impacted for Diggs again, showing up in the big games for Drake May and the Bills. I mean, not the Bills, the Patriots last season. Again, that's gonna be another thing where we that we missed last season when we got guys like Robbie Anderson, Chris Moore out there trying to make plays in big games. We're gonna have Stefon Diggs, a guy that has been in the moment, a guy that's not afraid of the moment, and I think that's gonna be where he has his impact.
Yeah, and a good thing too. Another thing that you mentioned too now is him having the injury concerns, and obviously now we all remember him being back in Houston where he tore his ACL. Do you believe a guy like Stefon Diggs can still play at a full 17 games in a season, or how many games do you think will need Stefon Diggs, or do you think that Stefon Diggs is going to have any injury concerns going this way? Obviously, Stefon Diggs is coming in off of a fully healthy season of playing, I think missing like 1 or 2 games, but a season to which he played a majority of the entire season. And now, obviously, he was not with us in the spring training. He was not with us and he's not going to be with us at the beginning of the training camp, and he'll probably end up playing in preseason only to the fact just to get his pace up. Do you think any of that is going to have any effect on him just for not being at OTAs and spring OTAs and then training camp? Do you think that's going to play a big role, kind of how it did on McLaurin last year?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I think last season he did great, even with, and I think he was in a tougher position last season. He had even more drama around his name last season than this season, and he had the injury on top of that. He was recovering from the injury. He came back and he had a really good season for somebody coming off an ACL injury at his age at that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that the injury thing is not going to be really a problem. It's always going to be a little bit of a concern when you got an older player, because soft tissue injuries are so constant in this league. Even for Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin don't miss games much at all, other than last season. And I'm a little worried about him because he's older, and it's always so easy. You could just be running and you may land wrong and you'll have a soft tissue injury. So it ain't no telling what'll happen, but I'm not really concerned about injuries based on his history at least. I'd be more worried about him coming here on some drama. I don't want no drama surrounding the team or his name. I hope he stays away from that. He just kind of got cleared from all of that. And yeah, that's my take on Stephon Diggs' injury history. I don't, I think his history isn't really concerning, but I mean, for a 32-year-old wide receiver, it's always going to be soft tissue questions.
Yeah. And obviously, two more things then before we wrap it up. I mean, what are your kind of your bold predictions for Stefon Diggs? I mean, obviously for me, I'm going to sit there and tell you Stefon Diggs might get us maybe 850 yards and 5 touchdowns, but the end all do all. What do you think Stefon Diggs' impact on this team is going to be when we are at Week 18, facing the either the Eagles or the Cowboys? I don't remember what, but what is his impact on the season going to be for us if you want to hindsight it or foreshadow it?
I would say he's definitely going to catch about 4 to 6 touchdowns. I would give him. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Terry went for 1,000. But I'm gonna go I'm gonna go in the sweet range to be safe, and I'm gonna go 950,
Mhm.
6 touchdowns on about 80 catches. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. And then lastly, before we end off the video today, wrapping up Stefon Diggs signing with the Washington Commanders, what is your grade for Stefon Diggs signing with the Commanders?
Oh, I'm gonna go A+ for sure. Nothing like I said before. I expected this move to happen at the beginning of the offseason. As soon as he was released, yeah, he had the legal issues, but I felt like it should have been this should have happened weeks ago before
Yeah.
training camp started because that had already started to get cleared up. He could have been in the building day one of training camp, but we're gonna get him here on Friday, and I can't wait to see him at practice on Friday. They probably gonna have him in a nasty number because we don't have much numbers available right now, but
Yeah, probably not.
we'll get that situated once we make some cuts. But yeah, man, I'm really excited about this. I get this an A++, man. I give Adam Peters whole free agency a A++, man. He did his thing, and now it's
Mhm.
time to go put it on the field, man. And season's right around the corner, and I'm geeked for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this signing I'm gonna give it an A. Obviously, with Stefon Diggs' age and him, being 32 years old or nearing 33, and them not really addressing the receiver room as heavily as I wanted them to, it's going to be an A. I need to see production on the field and whatnot. I got to make sure he's healthy to give him the A+. But as of right now, it's an A. I'm super excited. Got an established wide receiver too, and like Chris said, man, I'm ready for the season. We'll be back on here next week talking about the schedule, and we'll be live for week one for the NFL season for against the Eagles at 3:25 Central, 4:25 Eastern. So appreciate y'all for watching. Appreciate Chris for hopping on, and we'll see you guys next week for schedule breakdown.
Peace.
See you guys.